Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Antigua confronts the United States at the WTO over unsettled gaming dispute. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, June 22. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Antigua and Barbuda is considering asking the head of the World Trade Organization, WTO, to appoint a mediator to help resolve its 15-year gaming dispute with the United States. The Twin Island Nations ambassador, Sir Ronald Saunders, disclosed the government's position as he confronted the U.S. at the organization's dispute settlement body on Friday. Back in 2003, Antigua and Barbuda won the right to suspend obligations to the U.S. in respect of the intellectual property rights to recover $21 million annually as a result of the U.S. preventing Americans from gambling at online sites based in the Caribbean nation. Sir Ronald said Antigua and Barbuda had not acted on that authorization because it was hoping the U.S. would agree to a fair and reasonable settlement. But that has not happened, and the country is now losing hope that a sense of justice and fairness would prevail. The diplomat told the WTO body that after such a long period of exhausting attempts to engage the U.S., Antigua and Barbuda is now contemplating approaching the WTO Director General to join in seeking a mediated solution that would bring much needed relief after a decade and a half of damage to the island's economy. He said that damage is estimated at about $315 million over the last 15 years. In response, the U.S. delegate said his country is still interested in negotiations with Antigua and Barbuda and would prefer going that route over mediation by the WTO Director General. He also argued that the U.S. had offered the Antigua and Barbuda government creative and generous settlements in 2008 and 2013, but they were declined. But Sir Ronald said the offers had been rejected because they did not amount to even 1% of the losses experienced by the Twin Island nation. A new constitution is being drafted in Cuba, could eventually pave the way for same-sex marriage in the Spanish-speaking Caribbean nation. That indication has come from the daughter of former President Raul Castro, Mariela Castro Espin, who is the director of the National Center for Sex Education. Cuba's National Assembly is drafting a new constitution that aims to adapt the country to new social and economic times. And Castro Espin told international news agency AFP that there is a section on rights in which LGBT people must be involved. She says while it does not necessarily state specifics, it can open doors to talks about changing the legislative system. Castro Espin says Cuban society has made progress on issues involving LGBT rights, but she said more still needs to be done. Over in Barbados now, the gay community is for the first time observing Pride Month, a period during which members of the LGBT community celebrate the freedom to be themselves. The Pride Barbados 2018 celebrations kicked off on Thursday with founding member of the Barbados Gays and Lesbians Against Discrimination, Roanne Mohammed, saying it was all about inclusivity. She charged that discrimination and intolerance remain prominent features in Barbadian society, with homophobic legislation and cases of discrimination in the workplace because of sexual orientation. But Mohammed also argued that the LGBT community has managed to flourish in the island and members of the community live fulfilling lives. The Jamaica government is trying to determine whether there should be a police investigation into corruption allegations at the state-run oil refinery Petrojam. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says Cabinet is waiting a report from the Permanent Secretary in the Energy Ministry before making a decision. TVJ's Anthony Lugg reports.
It has been a case of departures and new appointments of critical personnel at the scandal-plagued oil refinery Petrojam over the last 2 weeks. From reports of corruption and nepotism, project overruns to the hiring of incompetent people. And by all indications, the plot is thickening. On Monday, the parliamentary opposition called for the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency MOCA to investigate corruption allegations at Petrojam. So, on Thursday, our news team asked National Security Minister Horace Chang whether he supports the call.
I can't say no. We are still, the Cabinet is taking some decisions, which I'll wait on. That is to get a full report, not an investigation. It's a report by the Permanent Secretary on all the activities at Petrojam. At that point, we'll take a collective decision how to approach it.
In a release on Wednesday, the People's National Party, PNP, outlined reasons for rejecting the tasking of the Permanent Secretary in the Energy Ministry, Hilary Alexander, to conduct the investigations into the matter. The PNP has also chided the government for its handling of the issue. So, is the government adequately dealing with the issues plaguing Petrojam?
So far, yes. The challenge you have is that it's a major company, and the reports are exciting news. We can't operate off the emotional side. We have to just go at it in a very factual way, and that's why the Cabinet has asked for this report so we can look at all the facts and deal with it. And once anything emerges, we'll deal with it decisively. The board itself, which was there, has been replaced, and now we're moving on. Because if we find anything corrupt, it will be dealt with. I'm sure the Prime Minister will deal with it decisively, but we cannot deal with it based on the reports and allegations only, which is what we have so far.
The senior management and the Permanent Secretary are to present a report to Cabinet on the issue on Monday.
Staying in Jamaica, the Andrew Holness-led administration is taking steps to transform the economy into a digital one. Speaking at the annual Mona School of Business Management Roundtable Forum at the University of the West Indies on Thursday, the Prime Minister said the government had already taken several steps to do so. Now, Holness said the government will create the environment that every Jamaican citizen can participate in the digital world.
One of the first things that a government has to do in moving towards this digital world and preparing for the digital revolution is to ensure that every single citizen, every single person can participate in the digital world. Let me put it another way. The government has to ensure that every citizen can transact in a digital society. And the transaction has to be secure, as was mentioned in the presentation, in the research. We have to ensure security and integrity. We have to ensure transparency. And to do that, you also have to ensure identity.
He noted that Jamaica must build significant platforms to get to a fully digitized space that is transparent and secure.
That people can commute on the digital platform anonymously. And it is the anonymity that creates the challenge in the digital platform. Whether it is the anonymity behind fake news, whether it is the creation of botnets that can replicate and amplify falsehoods, or the anonymity behind cyber crimes. So if we're going to create a digital platform, and by nature, digital requires transparency. It requires a system of identity. Because a feature of the digital society is not just the speed of delivery of information, but it is also a means of increasing accountability.
The government will use some of a 64 million Jamaica dollar loan from the International Development Bank to establish a platform for all data that will be digitized. The Central Bank of the Bahamas has announced plans to introduce a pilot digital currency for the country. Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Peter Turnquest revealed the plan for a blockchain and cryptocurrency conference in the Bahamas this week. He said the production of a modern, fully digital payment service is the way forward for this era of governance. Turnquest added that a digital Bahamian currency is especially important for the many people in the Family Islands, as they have seen many commercial banks downsize and pull out of their communities, leaving them without banking services. He also noted that as an island nation where transportation can be an inconvenience for many, especially the elderly, and is also costly, the Bahamas must offer financial services digitally and securely. He says he hopes Grand Bahama will become the digital paradise of the region. And coming up in Caribbean Newsline, an increase in suicides in the Cayman Islands. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It starts from sunrise, a city filled with an island vibe, music, people, color, friendship, culture, and the warmest of smiles. Come enjoy the unique costumes, pulsating steel pans, exotic culture, exciting fetes, and unforgettable people. Discover Antigua's Carnival, the Caribbean's greatest summer festival, July 27th to August 8th, because the beach really is just the beginning.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
One of the Cayman Islands' leading mental health experts says suicides in the British Overseas Territory are on the rise. We get the details of that story from Kevin Morales of Cayman 27.
Cayman's Mental Health Commission Chairman Mark Lockhart says it's time to open the discussion on suicide.
So we haven't seen official data, but I can say anecdotally that there has been an increase.
It's believed at least 3 men have killed themselves in Cayman since December.
We can definitely say there's been an increase over the last few years, so it's very important for us to start to be cognizant of that.
The key to solving the problem, he says, is acknowledging that a problem exists.
That's the good news, that while we are seeing an increase in some of the numbers, we're also seeing an increase on the other side of more open discussion about mental health issues.
That involves debunking myths, like only people with severe mental illness take their own lives.
A majority of the cases had no previous psychiatric history.
He says there's a common link among those who die by suicide. They're facing relationship, economic, or social problems.
It's part of the human condition that we can get overwhelmed and sometimes entertain the idea that it's better off not being here. And it's important to get across that that's not really a viable option.
He says the Mental Health Commission plans to set up a suicide hotline and possibly a suicide crisis center.
Edwin Martin is Grenada's new Commissioner of Police. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, who is also National Security Minister, made the announcement on Friday while addressing the rank and file of the Royal Grenada Police Force. Martin, who is currently Deputy Commissioner, will replace top cop Winston James, who is scheduled to proceed on pre-retirement leave on July 2nd. This will be the second time Commissioner James is retiring from the position. After his first retirement in 2008, he was recalled to the force in 2013 when his successor, Commissioner James Clarkson, retired. New Acting Commissioner Martin has more than 30 years' experience in the force. In making the announcement of his elevation, Prime Minister Mitchell said leadership of the police force is a critical component in the management of the police force itself and, by extension, the management of security in the country.
Person whom I would want to have a say in recommending to be Commissioner of Police at all times would be the Commissioner, the person I want to live under when I'm no longer Prime Minister. In other words, I do not believe that one should be chosen for Commissioner based on his political affiliation. Because if it turns out to be that person not standing above the line, so to speak, when you are in office, they will do one thing. When you're out of office, they will do something else.
The outgoing commissioner commended the police officers for their sterling work over the years.
I want to take the opportunity here to commend the hard-working men and women of the Royal Grenada Police Force for the job that they have been doing over the past years. You have done an excellent job in keeping Grenada safe and secure.
Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel hosted India's President Ram Nath Kovind for a two-day visit that was aimed at strengthening economic cooperation between the two countries. The trip, which was scheduled to end on Friday, saw the two leaders signing cooperation agreements in biotechnology, traditional medicine, homeopathy, and therapeutic plants. We get more in this report from Richards of Canal Carib in Cuba.
The President of the Republic of India, His Excellency Ram Nath Kovind, is in Cuba paying an official visit. It is the first time in the history of diplomatic relations between the two nations that an Indian head of state has come to the island. The distinguished visitor arrived Thursday evening at Santiago de Cuba's airport in the eastern part of the country. He was received by Beatriz Johnson Urrutia, Vice President of the Council of State. The President of India, in his first activity on Cuban soil, in a short stop at Santa Ifigenia Cemetery, rendered honor to Fidel Castro, the historical leader of the Cuban Revolution. He also deposited wreaths on the tombs of other outstanding patriots. It is scheduled that Kovind will visit the Center of Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology, pay tribute to Cuba's national hero José Martí, and also sign various memorandums of understanding in biotechnology, traditional medicine, medicinal plants, and homeopathy. During his short visit to Cuba, the President of the Republic of India, Ram Nath Kovind, will be received by his Cuban counterpart, Miguel Diaz-Canel Bermudez. The Caribbean island is much grateful to the Republic of India for condemning the economic, commercial, and financial blockade imposed on Cuba by the United States of America.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, wins for Guyana, Barbados, and Jamaica in the opening round of the Women's Super 50 Championship. Stay with us. Sport is next.
This hurricane tip comes to you compliments the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, and the Caribbean Media Corporation. Be prepared. Listen to the weather reports daily.
Do you wish to combine a vacation with pure laughter? Then St. Martin is the place to be on June 22nd and 23rd for the 14th annual edition of its comedy festival, Laugh Till Belly Burst, with comedians from all over the world. Book hotel and show tickets until June 20th now at www.ltbbsxm.com.
Many Tobagonians depend on public transportation to get around the island. Prior to the commissioning ceremony for 15 new Higer buses, the Public Transportation Service Corporation, PTSC, experienced many ups and downs with its Tobago bus fleet. When he took office in 2017, Clarence Jacob, the Secretary of Settlements, Urban Renewal and Public Utilities, promised he'd work on having the bus fleet increase.
Shemaine Campbell sustained her excellent form with a fine 100 as she fired Guyana to a convincing 65-run victory over Leeward Islands in the opening round of the Women's Super 50 Championship. The 25-year-old struck 107 as Guyana, opting to bat first at Chedron Park, gathered 229 for 9 off their 50 overs. Batting at number 3, the right-hander held the innings together, adding 42 for the third wicket with Akase Thompson and a further 56 for the sixth wicket with Melanie Henry, who made 17. In reply, the Leewards were restricted to 164 all-out of 45 overs, with Janison Richards getting 41 not out, Chanel de Willett 28 and Therese Parker 24. At Kensington Park, West Indies captain Stephanie Taylor agonizingly missed out on 3 figures with an unbeaten 98 as Jamaica chased down 226 to beat Trinidad and Tobago by 7 wickets. The right-hander faced 109 deliveries and counted just 2 fours as Jamaica reached their target with 8 balls to spare. Natasha McLean struck 35 in a 59-run opening stand with Rashada Williams before Taylor combined in a 100-run third-wicket partnership with Chady Nation to put the result virtually beyond question. Slow-medium bowler Karishma Ramharak took all 3 wickets to fall for 31 runs. At Sabina Park, Kaisia Knight stroked the top score of 60 as Barbados comfortably disposed of Windward Islands by 47 runs. Sent in, Barbados racked up 230 for 9 off their 50 overs, with Alea Aline and Haley Matthews both chipping in with 35. In reply, Aline and Windy's Seamer DeAndre Doughton took 3 wickets hauls as the Windwards were held to 183 for 9. Still in cricket, the Guyana government has signed a deal with the Caribbean Premier League to have matches played at Providence during the premier event in July. We have more in this HGP Nightly News report.
The minister on Thursday officially signed the agreement to host the games in Guyana. There will be 7 matches played at the Guyana National Stadium, Minister Norton said.
These matches will be scheduled to play on the 9th, the 11th, and the 12th of August, and the 8th and 9th of September 2018. There are also 2 playoff games scheduled for September 11th and 12th. And we are here to sign off the stadium agreement.
CPL and the Ghana Amazon Warriors representative, Mr. Omar Khan, said that the Amazon Warriors are extremely happy to have the support of the government of Guyana as they head into this year's tournament.
As you know, it's an integral part for us being able to host the games here in Guyana. We are very happy again to bring CPL to Ghana. CPL has been, the one unifying force that brings all people together, and over the years, we have had tremendous support from the fans here in Ghana, from the cricket-loving people of Ghana. And we look forward to that again. I will add that, there has been some issues with regards to the matches, and I want to let you all know that CPL will be making an official announcement with regards to that very shortly.
Khan, when asked why Guyana was the last country to sign an official agreement to host games, said that CPL will in the near future make an official comment on this. Tickets should be available by the first week in July, according to Khan.
Okay.
The Ghana Amazon Warriors will begin their encampment from June 2 to 7. This year's event will take place between August 8 to September 16. This year's CPL local games are expected to be at capacity since the tournament aims to bring persons together from across the spectrum.
Switching sports now, Bahamian-born basketball player DeAndre Ayton was drafted by Phoenix Suns at Thursday's NBA draft at Barclays Center in New York. The 7-foot-tall center was selected as the first overall in the draft. Prior to his major move, Ayton starred with Arizona in his freshman year, where he averaged 20.1 points and 11.6 rebounds in his lone season in Tucson, tying for the national lead with 24 double-doubles in 35 games. He said getting the pick in the NBA is a dream come true.
I came up to the podium, I already knew, like, okay, this is about to happen. Whatever happens, happens. And so, he didn't hold it back. He just said, he said what he had to say, and he called my name right away. I looked at my mom, I saw my auntie's reaction. I just knew, like, okay, it's there. I hugged them. They tried my best to keep my emotions to myself. And when I shook his hand, that's when all my emotions started to kick in. And I just tried my best to hold it in as much as possible. But I was really proud, and dreams do come true.
The Bahamian says his mother had an integral role in his draft, and he vows to give back to his homeland.
Through college, there was a lot of stuff going on. And, her and I, we really went through it, especially the false information. And, we really tried to ignore the noise. She's a prayer warrior. She prays a lot. I'm playing on the court, and she's keeping faith. And, back home, I'm representing the whole nation. In my jacket, I have Nigeria, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. I'm not only a Bahamian, but I'm also Nigerian and Jamaican. I'm representing the whole Caribbean, and I just want to be the best role model possible. And I want to give back and do all the camps, do stuff that those players that came to the Bahamas, how they inspired me. I want to do the same as well.
And that's the sports. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
From Sunrise, a city filled with an island vibe, music, people, color, friendship, culture, and the warmest of smiles. Come enjoy the unique costumes, pulsating steel pans, exotic culture, exciting fetes, and unforgettable people. Discover Antigua's Carnival, the Caribbean's greatest summer festival, July 27th to August 8th, because the beach really is just the beginning.
Again, the major developments of this day. Antigua and Barbuda considers asking the head of the WTO to appoint a mediator to help resolve its 15-year gaming disputes with the United States. And in sports, wins for Guyana, Barbados and Jamaica in the opening round of the Women's Super 50 Championship. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, log on to CaribNews.com. For more of our program, and log on to CaribVision.tv and subscribe to CaribVision's YouTube channel. We'll be back here again on Monday. Have yourselves a good night.